Hi everybody, this is Cheryl. I'm going to be doing a Where I Stand Challenge VR to Will Patriot. This VR is it's very emotional to do, so I'm going to try real hard to keep it together. No promises. I'm going to start out by telling you a little bit about myself so that you will kind of understand why I stand where I stand now. My mom was a teenager when she got pregnant with me. She quit high school to get a job and support me. I grew up with single mom and stepdads, so I spent most of my time with my grandmother or with my great aunt and uncle. So they taught me most of what my beliefs are today, and just how I am, my knowledge and that kind of stuff. My mom was a sporadic churchgoer. My extended family were not churchgoers, so I didn't grow up in the church. I do remember going from the time I was a baby up until I was 12, but it was very, sporadic. From the time I was 12 until I was in my 40s, I attended church maybe a handful of times. When I was 40, I found a church and got saved, got baptized, went to Bible study classes, became very active in the church, working in the children's ministry, and church became a big part of my life. God became a big part of my life. Sorry, it's pretty windy. It's blowing stuff around. And for me, the top three things is God, family, and country. But they kind of mesh together for me more than being a separate thing. Because I didn't grow up in a Christian family, I still learned a lot of values. I learned integrity, honesty. One of the biggest things I remember my uncle teaching me was a man is only good as his word. And I remember he used to I hate to use the word judge, but he used to judge people based on, what they fulfilled. Like if they made a promise and they broke that promise, he didn't have dealings with them anymore. And that's kind of what he taught me was, hey, you trust a man, you go by his word, and if he breaks that word, you kind of lose that trust. You got to build it back up. They also taught me to show respect, to show kindness, and to be there for other people. If your neighbor needed something, you'd be there for them. But you didn't expect them to return the favor. If they didn't return the favor, oh well, But be grateful for what you have. Be grateful for, what you do get. Respect what you get and take care of it. Those kinds of things were important. Doing for yourself. My uncle, he would tell me, he said, if you expect someone to do something, then you need to be able to get in there and do it yourself too. If you can't go out there and clean the hay and the cow poo out of the barn, don't expect who you tell to go do it to do it. Because if you can't do it, don't tell someone else to do it. He was big on that. And, he gave me a lot of jobs. But guess who taught me how to do them? He did. He showed me. And he said, if I can do it, you can do it. And that was the way he raised me. But those kinds of things that he taught me is the way I've grown up. And those are important because of the fact that a lot of those values are no longer present in our country today. Based on the way I was raised and what I learned when I did start going to church as an adult, having those values are important, and they need to be put on a top level. They need to be very relevant in our country, and they're not. And based on that, I really feel like our country is being taught lessons right now. With all the flooding that we've got going on, with the flooding that's going on, and we're possibly facing food shortages, and it reminds me of the story of Joseph. And every time I hear anything on YouTube about flooding and food shortages and different things like that, I remember when Joseph was told, save up the grain, and for 7 years store up the grain, so that you will have food in the 7 years of drought. And I remember that story, and I remember how he did what God said, and he stored that food up. And then when the famine came, they had food, And I really think that with all the flooding and all the earthquakes and the talk of the volcanoes and all the storms, and here we just went through a really severe heat wave, extremely high temperatures. I think it's a wake-up call. I think God is trying to say, hey, wake up, pay attention, look at where your country is going. And I think we need to really pay attention, to what he's trying to tell us. Unfortunately, so many people have moved away from God and all these morals that used to be taught, that are no longer taught. The respect, the integrity, the honesty, the doing for yourself and not expecting anything from, our government or from other people. Because of all that, I think, it's kind of putting us in a position where God's saying, hey, you need to pay attention, maybe I'm just one of those unusual people, but I recognized that our country was going downhill back in the 70s. I could see things that were happening that I didn't like. It just didn't feel right. It didn't look good. And since then, it's been like a snowball. And our country has just been escalating downhill ever since. Our schools are horrible. And I'm sorry about that, but my kids, Chris is 23, the twins are 20, and if I had not stepped in and taught them a lot of what they know, basic math, cursive writing, the love of history, if I had not worked on teaching them those things, they wouldn't know. Chris came to me and he said, Mom, I don't know how to write my name in cursive. He was probably in middle school. And I was like, well, aren't you learning this in school? And he was like, no, they don't teach that anymore. And I even had a teacher tell me, no, we don't teach that anymore. They tell us not to. So I taught my kids how to write in cursive. You know, when this new math came on board, my kids were like, but I don't even know how to multiply. I taught my kids math because they weren't being taught in school. You know, I don't care what parent sits out there and says, oh yeah, my kids are learning it. No, they're not. I'm telling you for a fact, they haven't been taught that in a long time. Because my kids are in their 20s and they weren't taught it. So don't tell me your kids are being taught it. I know better. Sorry. But the problem is our schools are going downhill, and what parent is doing anything about it? Who's standing up and saying, hey, if you're not going to teach my kids, I'm going to. You know, I applaud these homeschooling parents because they're taking upper hand and they're saying, hey, I'm going to teach my kids. And that's what we need to do. Anyway, we do need to step in, and we do need to teach our kids. Because here's the thing. What our kids are taught depends on how they feel about our country. Because kids are not being taught respect and all the morals, they don't have the respect for our country. They don't show respect for our veterans who died for, you know, our freedoms. They don't respect our Constitution, and they allow the rights to be taken away from us. You know, I remember 9/11. And I remember how I felt about that. And my kids grew up knowing about 9/11, the truth of what really happened. But a lot of their friends don't even know what 9/11 is. A lot of the people that they grew up with, that they went to school with, don't even know what it is. You know, and because they're not being taught this kind of stuff in school, they don't care. They've lost the respect of our country and what's important. They've lost the respect for the importance of family. They've lost the respect of the importance of church and God. And they don't care. I used to work at Dollar General, and I had a mom come in one day. She had a little boy who was probably 3 or 4 with her. And I had a little bit of a line, and so they were standing in line, and the little boy was just pitching a fit, you know, and finally the mom said, fine, and she opened up a little toy army set. It had a tank and some little army men in it, and she gave the toy to the little boy. And she said, here, now you can go shoot somebody. That mom taught that little boy 2 things that day. It's okay to shoot somebody, and it's okay to shoplift. Because technically that was shoplifting. She taught that little boy 2 bad things. And I witnessed that kind of stuff all the time. What are our kids, our grandkids, teaching our future generations? And why? Why? Because parents have not stood up and said, no, I don't accept this. This is not going to be the way it is. And even older people my age. Right now, I'm being ripped off by a man older than me for a car because he thinks it's okay to do that to women. It's not okay. It's not okay. And this is where our country's going. So you know what? When that patriotic bandwagon comes along, guess who's jumping on? Gun or not, I'm jumping on. I think people have to understand that if we don't stand up for our rights, if we don't stand up for the way our kids are being taught and raised, if parents don't start taking responsibility, we are going to see more and more people that think they're entitled. They're going to see more and more people think they can get by with whatever they want to, and it's got to stop. People have got to come together and start teaching respect and kindness and love and honesty. They've got to start teaching how to help one another and work together and stop all of this entitled snowflake stuff. I don't even have words for it because I get so angry every time I hear somebody. I had a mom. She has like 7 kids. Her youngest kid was turning 5, and he was going to be taken off the WIC program. And she was angry. And she turned to her friend and she said, I guess I'm going to have to get pregnant again so I can go back on WIC. What the heck? She didn't work. She lived on welfare. She got a check. She got food stamps. She got WIC. She got everything for free. And she was, I know she's in her early 40s, and already she was entitled. It makes me so angry that these people think they're entitled to stuff. No one's entitled to anything. You weren't born to be given everything. You were supposed to work for it. You're supposed to earn it. And, we need to go back to the ways I was taught, back when I was 12 and under, of showing respect, showing kindness. We need to be working on that, and we're not. So yeah, I am going to stand up. When time comes, when SHTF finally happens, I'm going to be right there, right by my brothers and sisters and all the patriots that are standing up saying, hey, here's where I stand. I'm going to be right there beside them. I don't like getting into the politics aspect of it, but yeah, I think major changes need to be made to our government. I'm not going to go into detail about it. I think we need to take the Constitution and go back to what the Constitution says. And all this other stuff that they've changed over the years, we need to go back to our original Constitution. Plain and simple. I'm going to leave it at that. That's how I feel. I'm sorry if anybody is offended by that. Yeah, I don't hesitate to offend. I don't care. I'm tired of people being offended. If you want to know the truth about it, you offend me. It's just how I feel about it. But I'm gonna stop this because, like I said, it's a very emotional video. I've got other reasons for it being emotional, but I won't go into that. I do feel like parents need to stand up and start teaching their children. I would like to see more people stand up and say, hey, yeah, I'm ready for that bandwagon, that patriotic bandwagon. I'm ready to jump on boards, stand beside my brothers and sisters. I'd like to see some of my subscribers respond to this VR. Go to Will Patriot's channel, watch his video for the what started the whole ball rolling. And I know Virginia Prepper and Will from Just in Time Prepping both did VRs. Go watch theirs. I'll put the links to their channels in my description box. Go check them out. I had to do this. I couldn't let this go by without doing it. I'm sorry it's a little bit longer. I'm sorry it's an emotional one. I've been working on trying to do this ever since Will came out with his video, and it's been a difficult one to do. You know, putting yourself out there is not easy. It's not easy. But I want to see y'all doing it. I put myself up there, and I ask you all to stand for God or whatever belief you have. Stand for it. Stand for family. Stand for your country. Stand up and say, hey, I'm not going to take this anymore. I'm just not going to take this anymore. All right, you have a good day. I'll see you later. Bye.